killing population and also fighting against the army forces in DRC.
Elsewhere in Egypt, a second special train facilitating the voluntary return of Sudanese refugees is due to arrive in the southern city of Aswan. Egypt has been one of the largest host countries for Sudanese refugees since the beginning of the civil war back in April 2023. From Aswan, the refugees will then get onto ferries and buses to cross into Sudan. According to the United Nations, more than 1.3 million Sudanese have returned to their areas of origin since the start of the conflict. However, many parts of Sudan remain insecure. Well, earlier on, I spoke to Mamadou Dian Balde, the UNHCR Regional Director for East and Horn of Africa and Great Lakes, who's just returned from Sudan.
You see, we have 1.5 million Sudanese who are refugees inside Egypt since the beginning of this brutal conflict. 800,000 of them have been registered by UNHCR. Our response plan for Egypt, as well as the entire Sudanese situation, is only funded at around 17%. So you can see that lack of services in Egypt is one of the reasons driving back home the refugees. So it's not about willingness to return, but limited services inside Egypt.
Well, we have seen images of a train that Egypt has provided free of charge for refugees to return home. Just talk a little bit about that. Critics say that this is, in fact, a way of Egypt encouraging refugees to leave without consideration for their safety once they get back home. Is this a concern for humanitarian organizations like yourselves? You see, the situation inside Sudan is a complex one. You have certain part of Sudan that are still producing refugees. Take the Darfur. You have other part of Sudan that are relatively stable, that could receive back their own citizens. And then you have refugees who are going through tough times. What we are insisting on is the voluntariness of the return, number one. And number two, and this was part of my dialogue with government and partners when I was in Sudan, was to create conditions so that people can return back home, that it's not something imposed on refugees that will compel them to return home. Give us a sense of the scale of Wadi Halfa, how many people are coming in, and what sort of challenges that poses. You see, hundreds of thousands of people have used Wadi Halfa to go to Egypt. Now that the situation is improving in part of Sudan, and I insist in part of Sudan, some of the Sudanese refugees who had gone to Egypt are coming back home, but the people I met at the border are telling me the following. They arrive at the border, no possibilities for transportation up to areas of origin, whether in Khartoum state, in Al Jazeera state, or in Sennar state. But they are also asking for support so that along the way, they are able to really take care of themselves and their families. And most importantly, if they are to return and to reintegrate within Sudan, they need recovery inside Sudan. Energy systems, access to healthcare, access to education services, as well as water and sanitation. What options would vulnerable individuals or individuals at high risk have in terms of an evacuation or relocation? Are there such options within UNHCR or other bodies, or for now that remains a challenge? Resettlement options are always available, meaning resettlement to third countries, but they remain quite limited, and countries of resettlement are reducing the quotas that they are available. But I would say to you that this is one of the most important protection tools that we have in the countries of asylum. What would you like the international community to be aware of at this time? The cry for support by Sudanese, whether it's the 1 million internally displaced who have returned home now, who have left Red Sea states, who have left the east going back to Madani, who have gone back to Sennar states, who are going back to Khartoum. They are asking for support so that can resume lives. And finally, just to say to you, just to add to the complexities, that as we speak, Sudan still hosts over 800,000 refugees from South Sudan, from other neighboring countries. These too are being affected, impacted by this brutal conflict. And in the middle of all this, they also require protection and solutions.